July 2021 unrest. National Police Commissioner General Khehla Sitole is already on the stand. Let's take you there live.
I think by 2010 we had 1,600 in total of the malls. Currently we've got 2,300, and for the 2,200 where the establishment has actually gone down, then it means we were not enough in terms of the establishment to cover all the malls at the same time and responding to the sporadic demand. And therefore, we needed the defense complement. Thank you.
Yeah, but what I meant when I say they were nowhere to be found, they were not visible enough. And there's also evidence to the effect that police were overwhelmed, right? So the reason why I asked about which hotspots are you referring to, it's because so far you have spoken about Gauteng, Maponya Mall and Phoenix. And these were not the only areas which were targeted. If the police were not visible enough in Phoenix or even in Gauteng, and there was a need for the deployment of SANDF members, so this plan, how was it implemented?
Okay, each and every plan, there's an operational direction that states clearly in terms of how it should be executed, and the principles thereof are correctly followed. But the plan was not based on numbers. It was based on the focus areas. And the hotspots were all outlined in the intelligence report, and they were changing at a particular time, because when we attended to the one hotspot, then they shifted the modus operandi to the other hotspot. And therefore, when you come up with a plan, when you design a plan, like as of now, you will design the plan intending to attend to the situational demand at hand. But when you are there, there's a high likelihood of the increased demand. If the modus operandi changes, then the demand will increase. That's where and when you will need more resources and more numbers. Only at the execution phase of the plan, the demand increased due to the change of modus operandi on the spot. And as a result of that, we needed more numbers beyond what we have and beyond the public order establishment, and hence the defense complement. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, do you agree with me that certain provinces in the country were not affected by the unrest? The Free State, the Eastern Cape, Western Cape, and other provinces were not affected, right? Why then were SABC members from those provinces not deployed to come and assist here?
Okay, thank you very much. I would say to you, yes, the provinces which you have cited were not affected by the same level and state of violence. And earlier on, or maybe previously, I indicated to the Commission that whenever there's an outbreak of a particular public violence or any situation, then resources are mobilized nationally. Now, during an unrest or a public violence like this one that broke out recently, no one own resources or no province own resources. All resources are owned by national. And the directive would come dictated by the plan that you've just referred to, which will indicate which province must send which resources where. And therefore, it doesn't mean that resources were not shifted from this province. Like, for instance, some of the capital resources, they were shifted. But I want to then indicate to you that the intelligence report that was then submitted to me at the time was already indicating that in Mpumalanga, the modus operandi has already gone there. If Free State was also included, the modus operandi was already targeting to get there. And the criminals were behind the execution of the modus operandi. They were also doing their own study to check where are we shifting resources so that they overstretch us to that particular area. Therefore, when resources were shifted, we're also extremely careful. We're doing that with extreme caution. We could not completely move resources from the one province to the other. But we did that in a proportional way as the demand increased. Thank you.
Now, earlier on during your testimony, whilst my learner colleague, Mr. Buang, was asking questions, you indicated that you have a good professional relationship with the Minister of Police. Is that correct?
Yeah, let me say the relationship between me and the minister is governed by rules. And when I responded, I said it is professionally normal. And therefore, in terms of the rules that we follow, our relationship as governed by the rules is normal. I agree.
How often do you speak to the Minister of Police in terms of work-related matters?
As often as the situation demands and as the mandate for us to interact also demand. So if there's issues that arise from his side and they require attention, which must be de-escalated to the National Commissioner, we speak. And as often as the demand is created, the same applies if there's matters that need escalation from my side to his side. We do interact. Like last week, we were together in Turkey. The demand there required us to speak every day of the days we were there. Thank you.
And how often do you meet up with the minister to brief him in relation to your operational matters?
Yeah, thanks again. Again, is as per situational demand. What I can explain is that there's certain levels of matters that require policy orientation and escalation. And as and when such situation arises or the execution of the operational mandate is escalated to that demand, then I do brief the minister, but I cannot determine how often. There's a there's a directive that he has issued that we meet once a week, and we then bring each other on board in terms of development relating to the operations. But if the situation requires me to brief him more often than that directive he has given, I do so in order to bring him on board. Thank you.
So how often then did you follow this directive that required you to meet at least once a week?
Yeah, each and every, I never defied one directive that he has issued. So it also depends on his availability. It also further depends on what has also cropped up from the operational environment. If a situation arises before the briefing and it affects the briefing date, I bring that to his attention and ask for permission to attend to such a situation. And from his side again, if he is called either by the president or he must attend, whether it's special cabinet meetings, then he send me a notification to say, can we postpone? So, but I have always complied without any defiance.
Twice in your evidence today, you've mentioned an intelligence report that you received. I would assume that it was in relation to the unrest. Am I correct?
Yeah, let me explain it this way. The moment an operational plan is designed and is put into execution, the intelligence wing, they also have their own focus area, which run concurrently with the plan, focusing on tactical intelligence. Now, as the plan gets executed, or it is in execution, I get updated about intelligence state that requires of me maybe to give instructions to the senior command of the operation, or to be able to brief the higher authorities, which in this case would either be the executive or the commander-in-chief. Thank you.
Yes, but what was this intelligence report about?
Yeah, no, the intelligence report was about developments as far as the unfolding unrest was concerned, and as well as the extent of the execution of the plan.
Now, did you share this intelligence report with the Minister of Police?
I do share all intelligence reports with the minister on matters that relate to the minister. But if there's an intelligence report that does not contain any matter that relates to the minister, then it's also not necessary to share such a report. But all those that relates to the minister, I do share, and even those that relates beyond the minister to the commander-in-chief.
Will you kindly then enlighten us as to what sort of matters relates to the ministers and what sort of matters don't relate to the minister?
Matters that are pure operational, they do not relate to the minister, but the matters that require policy direction and political direction, then I escalate them to the minister.
So in respect of what you have just said now, this intelligence report, it was not necessary for you to share it with the minister.
Which intelligence report?
You've been referring to in your evidence.
No, in that intelligence report, there's developments that I shared with them, both the minister and as well as the commander-in-chief. But remember, it's not the whole content. But during the unrest, there were updates that I was doing, and there were updates that were done to me. So the section, when an intelligence report is given to me, I then categorize the information that is contained and choose out of it what is it that I need to bring to the attention of the minister.
Into this intelligence report, what is it that you did bring to the attention of the minister?
I think firstly, the fact that the modus operandi was intending to spread, because the modus operandi was intended to destabilize the whole country. And its intention was to spread to all the provinces. Such matters were brought. The nature of the modus operandi, I think, and obviously, whenever we're effecting arrests, there's certain level and prominence of the arrests which I would bring to the attention of the minister.
Okay. May I then find out from you, when exactly did you receive this intelligence report?
I cannot give you a specific time because the intelligence briefing is done as per situational demand as the situation arises. Because some of the intelligence briefing, they are done verbally, and then some of them, they are done formally in writing. Now, if there's an intelligence which arises from a tactical perspective, but is intelligence that is critical, then I will get a verbal briefing. Now, as and when I receive it, and as per situational demand, I would then also escalate it or issue an instruction with regard to a certain way of operationalizing it.
Will I then be correct to assume that you received it long before the unrest could take place?
You won't be correct because I have already indicated to you that this intelligence that we're talking about was generated concurrently with the execution of the plan. And the plan started its execution immediately after the outbreak of the public violence. That's why we were stabilizing it. So it wouldn't be long before.
Was it shortly before the unrest?
Yeah, I would say shortly after the execution of the operational plan. I'm saying shortly after the commencement of the execution of the operational plan.
Yes, which was when?
I think firstly, I have already explained, and you also, I think the first panel member has put it to me as per the commencement of the outbreak of the unrest. And I indicated that immediately after the outbreak, I then issued an instruction to the National Crime Combating that is Forum, under the leadership of the Deputy National Commissioner for Policing, to design a stabilization and normalization plan for us to forecast that. So, or to focus on the unrest. And then, as part of one of the focus areas, then the intelligence was deployed. But the intelligence started deploying preliminarily so as the plan was about to be executed. So I think then the intelligence started relating on tactical intelligence based on the execution of the plan. But the intelligence before is the one that I have explained as per the level and the lifting of the modus operandi. And the modus operandi started at level 3 and not necessarily at level 1.
Okay, Ndata, with all due respect, I'm a little bit confused because you tend to give long-winded answers, right? So what I would like to find out from you is, what was the operational plan based on, since you received this intelligence on almost at the same time at the execution of the operational plan?
Okay, I will try to make you understand. I think there's intelligence, and I'm now, in actual fact, that's where I might have a little bit of a problem, because if I have to explain to you an operational process, then my answer becomes long. And if my answer is becoming longer, you seem to be complaining. But I will explain it this way. There's an intelligence exercise that takes place prior to an execution of any plan, which will then inform a planning process, which will trigger planning. But when a plan is also executed, there's a tactical intelligence exercise that goes hand in glove with the execution of the plan. And that intelligence is giving me a full scope of what impact is the plan making, what is the changing modus operandi if the criminals are changing the modus operandi, what are the new developments during that. Now, the intelligence I'm referring to now is an intelligence that was gathered as one of the focus areas of the plan that was in execution, which was the stabilization and normalization plan.
All right, Ndata. Now, again, the operational plan that you had, what was it based on? What was the basis of this operational plan that was executed?
Remember, there was an unrest in progress, and there was looting, there was instability in the country. And the plan was intended to provide a response. That was the basis of the plan, to stabilize, to make sure that they already, and that is instability, which was in progress, is brought to the end, and the safety of the community of South Africa is normalized.
In other words, what you're telling us is the plan only came after the unrest had started.
The plan that I am referring to, the one I'm saying, is a stabilization and normalization plan. And in terms of the operational principle, a stabilization plan shall always follow the outbreak of a violence. The moment there's when violence starts or a public order instability starts, there's a level 1 and level 2 response, which is a deployment is by the police stations and the local metros. The moment the situation escalates to level 3, then the stabilization plan comes in. And that's when level 3 resources are deployed.
All right. So will I also be correct to say that from what you have explained, the intelligence report that you referred to was also received during the time of the unrest, not before?
The one that I'm referring to, yes.
In other words, there was no intelligence report in relation to the upcoming unrest that you received?
Yeah, a report that was explicit to say, here's an unrest coming in terms of this modus operandi. Such a report was not picked up by all the intelligence because the actual modus operandi could not be advanced before.
It wasn't picked up by all intelligence, is that what you're saying?
The modus operandi, yes.
Now, are you aware of the statement that was made under oath by the Minister of Police?
I heard about it.
Are you aware of it?
Yes, I am aware.
Have you had an opportunity to look at it? Peruse the statement?
Not necessarily enough opportunity, but I can, to a certain extent, relate, but I haven't had a full opportunity to read through it.
You had an opportunity to peruse it?
Yes, I did.
Do you maybe have the statement in front of you?
No. It has not been officially submitted to me.
Been officially submitted to you?
Yes.
If I may ask.
I think I would... Look, you said, do I have it in front of me? Now, for me to have it in front of me, it must be officially submitted to me. Now, I was responding to your question to say, I don't officially have it in front of me or with me. No one anyway has got an obligation to submit it to me.
Answer earlier on is you've had an opportunity to look at it, you've perused the statement.
Okay, let me explain this way. I also have my own legal team looking at everything that is surrounding this particular process. And it was brought to my attention by the legal team that there's a statement that has been submitted by the minister. And I was busy with other processes in Turkey. I was in an Interpol conference. And I then asked them to send me a copy. But that is why I'm saying I haven't had a full opportunity to read through the statement because as and when it came, I was engaged in other processes. But of course, we can relate to the statement. No, I'm saying if the commission wishes that we should relate to the statement, I am okay.
Properly that
if it is necessary for me, yes, and if the commission requires of me to have a full content of the statement, I think that would be fine with me.
Commissioner, may I just get your direction in respect of what that they're saying?
Yes, now.
No. I think I am fine.
At least up until 10:15?
Yes, that's fine. Let's
Thank
make it
you.
until 10:15. 10:15. We adjourn until 10:15. Thank you.
Well, heated moment there, day 11 of the national investigative hearings into the July 2021 unrest, asked a slew of pointed questions about his relationship with the police minister, Begicele, and how this could have affected SAP's response to the July unrest. National Police Commissioner Khehla Sitole insists that his relationship with the minister is prescribed in law and therefore cannot be left to personal whims. He's also asked about the existence of an intelligence report. He says it was about the execution of the plan. He's asked if he shared the report with the minister. He says only on matters that relate to the minister, which are policy direction and political direction. He's asked also specifically what he brought to the minister's attention. He says the nature of the modus operandi and where they would be effecting arrests. The evidence leader says the commissioner's responses are long-winded and confusing. Then the evidence leader goes into the minister's response to whether he got the report or not. And of course, we all know that the minister said he didn't. And at this point, the national commissioner mentions his legal team that he says handled the statement and that he hasn't got the full opportunity to look at that statement. So they've adjourned now for him to go look at that statement and come back and answer after looking at the full statement.